Grace and peace. This is Bishop Martin Wilson. Thank you for coming and being a part of this conversation that we're going to have today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to really dig into this part of Ecclesia. The name of our fellowship is Ecclesia, Ecumenical Leadership and Church Growth Network. So we're called indeed, and we're excited. So this is a milestone for our fellowship as we're starting our focus on church planning, church growth efforts, which is a significant part of all of our ministry development. So the initiative demonstrates our commitment to expand and impact and equip leaders with the necessary tools that they're going to need and the knowledge to be able not only to plant, but to be able to plant churches successfully. So this is just the beginning of our efforts to offer some specialized training in this area. So thank you again for joining us. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to just share, and then we're going to go and jump back into our discussion on this very important subject. And I've got some guests that I brought on. Thank God for the guests that are going to be with us. So let's lay a foundation. When you're embarking on the journey of church planning, and I've planted several churches and helped plant churches, there are numerous critical aspects that you have to consider and to discuss. Got to be something that you're building an ongoing discussion around, and why each of the elements that we could discuss are very significant in the process. I believe that establishing a clear, compelling vision and mission statement stands as the cornerstone for any new ministry or any endeavor that you're going to do. And this foundation, what it does is this step not only sets the tone for the entire ministry, but it begins to shape the planning process and also provides guidelines for all of the sequential decisions and actions that are going to come afterwards. So a well-crafted vision and mission statement serves as a powerful tool to articulate the church's purpose, the values, the long-term goals, and to ensure that every aspect of the new congregation is in alignment with the intended direction and the impact that that particular ministry wants to make. So what is it? What does that mission statement, mission statement do for the church planner? It's very critical for you also as a church planner to have this. It's not just something for the church, but it provides you with a direction and alignment for all of the activities that you want to do. And they all have to surround your core purpose. What is your core purpose? So a well-crafted statement creates a solid foundation for building and guiding and ensuring that everything you do is in alignment with your purpose and keeping you in the direction that God has given you. So mission and vision, or vision and mission, what is the overall, and this is a question that you're going to have to ask yourself, what is the overall vision and mission for your new church plant? So creating that vision and that mission statement for your new church, as we said, it's going to provide you with direction. It's going to give you clarity. It's going to give you purpose, and it's going to guide your endeavors for everything you do. So that vision and mission statement pretty much gives you what they say in the business world is your why. Your why. That's going to be important that you remember throughout your church planning efforts and after you've already got into the building and you've got the congregation. What is your why? Your why refers to the fundamental reason behind your church plant endeavor. Why are you doing what you're doing? It's the core purpose that drives your mission and your vision. Understanding and being able to clearly articulate your why is going to be critical. Why is it going to be critical? Because it provides you with a deep sense of purpose. You as a deep sense of purpose and motivation, especially when times are challenging. When you understand why you are doing what you're doing, hard times will not stop you from doing what you have to do. And it also helps you in attracting like minded individuals who resonate with the church's core values and the mission. You've got to know it before it can resonate with other people. You don't want to just be making it up as you go. It guides your decision making process. It ensures that all the actions align with the fundamental purpose. One of the main reasons that most churches that are planted are not successful is because they do not have a foundational purpose. Having church is not enough. That cannot be, we just want to have church. That's not enough. And another point that it does is it differentiates your church from others. It highlights what's unique about your church and your approach to ministry. You've got what makes you different, what makes people want to come to your church. So essentially, your why is the heartbeat of your church plant. It's the heartbeat. It informs every aspect of your ministry and inspires you as a leader and the leaders that will come with you and the congregation to pursue God's specific calling for your community. I know it sounds like a lot out the gate, but it's something that we're going to help you to build on. So your mission and vision statement. So your mission and your vision statement, they are one. That's going to be one statement you're going to put together, but they're very different components of the same thing. Your vision portion of your statement tells about the future impact that you want your ministry to have. Your vision, it's out in front of you. It's the thing that you're moving toward. But when we talk about your mission tells about the plans and the steps that you put in place so that you can achieve that future impact that you're wanting to be able to accomplish in the next few years. So here's why it's important and how to craft and outline your statement. So it starts by defining the church's purpose and its goals. You've got to define your purpose and you got to define your goals. And we'll be talking more about that. It's going to help you, as we said, it'll help you to guide your decision making, the strategies for what you do, and it will inspire you and motivate you as you build. So as members come, it's going to help them to communicate to them the church's identity. They want to know the church's identity, not just who you are. So how do you create and outline your vision or your mission statement, mission statement? First thing you got to do is you got to seek guidance from God. You got to know what God is calling you to do. And then after you're clear on what God is saying to you, you've got to be specific about that calling, and you've got to begin to reflect on it and allow God to speak to you even more. And the context that God is giving you for your church plant becomes that foundation. So a next component that you got to really, really look at after you've prayed, you've sought God, He's giving you your foundation and you're reflecting on it and you're building on the context of what God has given you. Then you've got to consider your target audience. The Apostle Paul said, I may not be an apostle to you all, but you are the seal of my apostleship. In other words, he said, I'm not everybody's pastor. I'm not everybody's apostle, but you're the seal of my apostleship. Who will be the ones that God is calling you to? Please never believe that you're called to everybody. You're not. You've got to know what your target is. One of the things that I learned from the book, The Purpose-Driven Church, is the question you've got to ask is, what do the people that I want to reach look like? What do they look like? And the easiest people to reach are people who look like you, people who work in the fields that you work in, people who live in the neighborhoods that you live in. There's no need for me to think that I can, and God can do anything, don't get me wrong, but my target can't be the multimillionaire. That can't not be my target. I have to target people who look like myself. We attract not what we want, we attract what we are. So you've got to know who our target is, and then we've got to identify our core values and our doctrinal beliefs. What do you believe as a church? I know what I believe. You've got to know what you believe. Who are you doctrinally? What do you stand for? Educated people are not just looking for a church. They are looking and they want to know, what you believe line up with who they are. Now, that could be a good thing and that could be a bad thing. See, knowing this up front, the thing that this is going to do, by knowing who you are doctrinally, this is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. Why do I say that? You want to help people to grow in the things of God, and you don't have time to argue with people about doctrinal issues and argue with people that are trying to convert you to what they believe. You've got to know what you believe up front. You've got to let people know what you believe up front. You got to know what your issue and your stand is on those topics. So when they come, you and your co-pastors and your leaders, you're all on one accord. You're in one accord, and you stand undivided on that thing. So every aspect of your vision, your mission statement needs to align with every other aspect of your church plant. In other words, you can't say I'm this doctrinally, but then you have activities in your church that don't line up with what you say you believe. That causes a lot of confusion. So remember that your vision and your mission must be the foundation of every aspect of your church plant, including your leadership structure, your outreach, your discipleship plan, whatever those plans are going to be. It's got to all line up. So your leadership structure. What leadership roles and structures will your church have? Now, you're a part of Ecclesia, so that means that you have ecclesiastical structure that you adhere to, as me being your apostle, your leader. But you've got to know and be clear on how the government in your church is going to run. I have nothing to do with the internal governing of your church. If you don't have a clear structure on how you're going to govern your church, people will come in and they will make assumptions about how you govern, and you'll find yourself moving toward where you came from, because they're going to look at you. Okay, you guys are coming out of a Baptist church right now. Well, whatever kind of church you're coming out of, that's just a for instance. But you're coming out of a particular church. They're going to look for you to govern yourself like where you came out of. So if you're not clear, you're going to find yourself being influenced by the opinions of people. And sometimes you're going to miss God when it comes to governing of your church. Very important. The Bible told Moses, choose you out 70 men that are full of the Holy Ghost, and I'm going to take up the spirit that's on you, and I'm going to put it on them. So many times in church, we have leaders who plant churches, and they end up taking the spirit of the people. And so now the people are running and governing the church. How are decisions going to be made? People need to know how you plan to make the major decisions in your church. How are you going to do that? If you're going to be apostolic in your government, if you're going to be episcopal in your government, they need to know that you're going to listen to their opinions. You're going to value their opinions, but the final decision has to lay with you as a leader. God gave you the vision. God gave you the vision. So you've got to make the final decision on whether their opinions and what they're saying is lining up with the vision that God has given you. You got to know what the qualifications that you're going to require for those that are going to be in leadership positions. When leaders from other churches, and I know this is kind of premature, but you've got to have it already in place. You don't need to learn how to swim once you've fallen in the water. You need to already know how to swim. So when leaders from other ministries join you and they come to you, you should already have a clear outline of the qualifications required for those who will be leaders in your ministry. I'm talking about even down to the ushers. Everybody should know what you stand for and what your requirements are. So, how are you going to recruit and how are you going to develop new leaders? That's something that we're going to be talking about and giving you guys some ideas and suggestions. Your outreach and evangelism. What strategies will you use for reaching the community? What community? For a new church plant in a small town, here's just a few strategies that you can use for your outreach. There's community connection, which is building connections with other local leaders and business owners and residents in the community. Why do you want to do that? Because you want to understand the needs of the community and you want to be able to quickly gain their support. You don't want to go in being counter community. You don't want to do that. You also, one of the things that you need to do is you need a virtual presence. You need to create a strong online presence, social media. Will help you with your website so that you can reach potential members that share your vision. You can't be shy. You've got to get on. You've got to do Facebook Live. You've got to do those things. You've got to start teaching. You've got to start doing Zooms and inviting people that you know may be interested into those meetings. Another thing, I've shared this with you before, is small groups hosted by these informal gatherings in your home or in some kind of public space. This is not a church service. This is prayer. This is Bible study. This is not a church service. And you're hosting those, and you're finding out who may be interested, who may need what you need, what you offer. So then you have volunteer opportunities. This is organizing service projects in the addressing the needs near your area around you, allowing potential members to get involved in different types of community things like a cleanup day. You might do a cleanup day and you're just asking for volunteers. You may do a food drive for the homeless and, take meals to the elderly. Something that you can do, not something you have to keep doing, but something that you do to start building momentum and to get your name out there. Those are so important. Then you can have mobile outreach, and you set up and you host an outdoor service in maybe a park or in a housing development, and do things like that. Partnership and collaborate with other churches. Sometimes that can be hard, but it is possible. And then that way you can share resources and support in that kind of community initiative. And the main one is going to be personal evangelism, encouraging yourself and those core leaders that come in to share their faith with friends, family, colleagues on their job, to get them active, to start building that core foundation. So remember, the key to building genuine relationship and show that your church cares about the community. That's going to be very important. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. That's going to be so important for you to be able to share that. So remember, the key to building that genuineness is to let people know you care. You know that you care. You've got to tailor these strategies to fit your specific town, the context of the people you're trying to reach. Once people come, you've got to already have some discipleship type of structure put together. What's your plan for discipling new believers? I know that sounds like it's kind of out there, but once people come, you don't want to be trying to catch up. It sounds like something that won't be needed right now, but you want to have these things already in place. What kind of small group curriculum are you going to teach? What kind of Bible study structure? Ours is small group or life group, meaning we do a short lesson like what I'm doing here, and then we're going to go just like we're going to do here and go into the discussion. and share that way. And our church here in Charlotte was built on life group. We started with life group in the home. That's how we started. And we developed our core group out of that life group. I started teaching leadership right here in the home and started bringing people in. And these are some of the keys for developing your core leadership. Those small groups, find out who is committed, find out who wants to invest the time, who wants to invest in that relationship, and encourage those initial team members to bring other potential leaders into the group and into the lessons and into the Zooms or whatever you're doing. Utilizing those small groups is going to be very important for you to build the foundation. It all starts with building that foundation, identifying and nurturing those potential leaders. And do not underestimate the power of using Zoom. That's going to be so important. Now, I'm going to give you this teaching. I'm going to give this to you. I'll send it out so you'll have all this, because you gotta know what your worship style is. You gotta envision that. You gotta how often you're gonna have service. When we first started, we didn't have service every week. We did every 2 weeks. How are you gonna do that? What's your preaching, your teaching philosophy, your approach? I have a preaching calendar. It doesn't always stick to the calendar, but I know where I'm going for the next month. You've got to know all of these things. Even when you get down to start looking for a location to meet. Is it going to be short term, long term? What equipment are you going to need? Who's going to handle the administrative tasks? All these things are important. What's your budget? You got to know and be able to stay within your budget. I do not recommend that you try to do everything out of pocket. Start small. Do what you can do. Just you and your team, you and whoever is helping you to start plant. Know what that initial budget is. Do not get in the habit of funding everything. Listen, one of the questions that we talked about was seeding or tithing into your own ministry. We don't have a big organization behind us pushing us, but this is one thing that you can do. Tithe into your ministry. Set up that bank account. Get your EIN number and get those things set up and start moving in that particular way. So this is going to be important when we begin to move into this church planting. So we're going to be coming back. We're going to be talking more and giving you more information as we go. But we're getting ready to go into the discussion now. Thank God for the great leaders that have joined me that are going to be a part of this discussion. So we're going back over there now. Listen, I will send you this video, this information, so that you'll have it and that you can begin to work on that vision statement. That's going to be your homework. Start working on that mission vision statement. That's going to be very important. And I also will send you some information of how to get started in writing that. All right, let's get over to our discussion. God bless.